But grab somebody or 2 or 3 people. If you've got a team, get together, share your, stay in control of your sandbox, but pull the other people in as students so that you can say, hey, I just did this. Will you go check it out? And you will be so amazed at how much smoother things will go. All right. So the second thing is you have a resource area. Let me go here. Okay. So what was my tip? Sorry. Resource area. Okay. So resource area is up here at the top. Okay. And when you click it, you have 3 different resource areas, and you can see I've already been using mine. So you have a personal area, which I have a little bit there before I realized this is not the most effective way to share material. If I had something that I wanted my kids to do that my team was not doing, let's say I want them to do a project, I would build it here, okay? Because this is my personal kids. It's not for my team, okay? Then you have a public resources, okay? And the public resources, you can sort by subject, resource type. This is from all over. This is not filtered. It's created by other teachers or the Schoology team, okay? So this is from, oh my gosh. So let's see if we can, I'm a math teacher, so let's do solving equations. And I search for it. And it may take a second, but here we go. Here are some things that have come up for solving equations that I can take a look at, and I could possibly use that lesson. Okay. Now, the group area here, this is where I have built things or joined groups. Okay. So I belong to Ector County. I belong to Permian. Okay. But my group and that's the school resources. There are not anything here. I'm sure this will get built as we go. Okay. I have an honors geometry team because that's part of me. And we have been working on building units. So we've got our unit here, and I can literally just click here and add it to my course because we've built this here. Think of this as a filing cabinet. Okay. So you've got your personal filing cabinet, the World Wide Web of filing cabinets, and then you have your group filing cabinet. So this would be my honors geometry team and my regular geometry team. Okay. There are other groups that you can join and get feedback from them as well. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so that's what we talked about here. We had our personal, we had our public, which is our World Wide Web of filing cabinets. And that's how I associate those in my mind. That resource area is my filing cabinets, my personal filing cabinet, my public one, that's the World Wide Web of filing cabinets, okay? And then my group is like my team filing cabinets, okay? All right, so we're going to want to pull this down here. We're going to want to attach our Google Drive to Schoology, and that allows you to pull things that you already have from previous years, your lessons, into your Schoology classroom. Okay, so attaching your Google Drive, it's just the best thing in the world. Okay, so steps. Now, these are not the steps that I went through with my kids, but these are the steps that are recommended. So I've already attached mine, so this may be a little difficult to do, but let's go see if we can get there. Oops, here we go. All right, so let's go. Oops, where did it go? Oh, this is it. Sorry. I created a link, okay, for us to use for today. So what you would do is you would go to these 4 squares right here, and you would go to App Center. Okay. From App Center, you're going to come down to Google Drive Resource App. Now, mine is already attached, but you would go through this and you would install, let it install, and you would go through and answer all the questions, making sure to allow. Okay, it's going to ask you to log in for your school email and stuff, but make sure that whenever it says allow or decline, allow, so that it is attaching your Google Drive. Once you do that, what will happen is when you go here to materials, then you can actually pull in your Google assignments over here. Now, I didn't use Google assignments like that because I'm a math teacher. Mine were more of forms and things like that. But English teachers, social studies teachers, when you want them to write a paper or you have it started, do that right there and then share it to them where they have to make a copy. And so they will have to download it, do the work, and then upload it back to you. Okay. But definitely want to get your Google Drive attached. Okay. So, and that's what all that right there is saying. And yes, students will have to do this. I had my students do it on their first assignment so that I actually walked them through how to turn in an assignment. But for them to be able to do that, they had to attach their Google Drive at that point. They only have to do this in one class. Once you do it, you never have to do it again. And that's why I couldn't walk through it with you. Okay. But yeah, I did mine last fall and it's still there even when I create a new classroom. Okay. All right. Accessing apps. Remember those 4 little squares that we were at? Yeah, let's go back there. Okay. So these 4 little squares right here. Okay. It's the App Center, and you're going to find your apps for Edpuzzle, for Nearpod. There's other things in here that I know that you use. Some of you use BrainPop. You can even attach your OneDrive. But these are apps that are pretty easy to embed. Unless you're comfortable with embedding, you can add these guys to it. And where that's going to show up is when you come to add materials. You'll see them over here in this list. Okay, so add the apps that you want. You may have to do it for each class. I cannot remember, but this is something that you're going to want to do. You can do it as you go through and use the apps. You don't have to do it all up front. Okay, so these are apps that I have added to mine. Okay. All right. So add them. They'll show up over here under the add materials. Okay. All right. Where to set up the grade stuff? Good question. All right. So grade setup in your class, there's 3 columns. We're going to look at the left-hand column, find grade setup. Okay. And let's go do that. All right. So left-hand column, you see grade setup right here. Click it. And this is where you would set up your grading category for within Schoology. I'm going to show you one of my classes from last year because I still have it accessible because I unarchived it. Here is how I set mine up last year because it just worked for me. Being an honors class, which is what this one was, major, minor, participation, and then you see all these ones right here with zeros. This is how I averaged, like I did a weekly average, or I did an average for the unit notes. So I put all their unit 8 notes in this category and I weighted it 0%. But what happens is when I did that, I could go to the grade book and let it come up. It's big, so hang on just a second. I could say, all materials. So I want to look at the Unit 8 notebook, okay, which mine have all been deleted but it would give me the average right here in this column, which I could then take to the grade book. Okay. So last year I would take this to the TX gradebook. This year we're using a different gradebook, and I haven't been trained on it, so I can't tell you how to do it yet, but I will be figuring that out very soon. Okay, so anyway, by creating all of those little ones, let me do this. Maybe it'll show up. Okay. So this is showing averages for the whole year because of what they did. Okay, so so here is where you would do that. So you can add categories right here. The district will set the grading period and final weights for you. Numeric, do you want it, to round? All of these little check boxes here, and then you save changes. And then you go. And if you say, okay, I want to do something by units. Okay, let's say we want to do notes by units. You can create a category for Unit 1 notes. Put a 0% on it so that it does not impact or change what would be seen in the gradebook. Okay, we are working to possibly get these to where they will sync together, which would be lovely, but it's not happening yet, but they're working on it. Okay, so know that we're trying to get to a place where what's here in Schoology will automatically go over, or with a couple of buttons, go over to the gradebook that the district uses. Okay. All right. So let's go back over here. And so what I loved about this is parents can see exactly what the kids can see. You send them an access code. Only one teacher has to send them an access code, and they sign up for Schoology Parents. Okay. I'm sure that the district will be putting out info on that. But yeah, it's and my parents who did it. I had some parents last year who were district employees, and I asked them specifically, how is this going? What are you liking about this? They said, what I like about it is that when you put a grade in Schoology, I can see it right then, right there. I don't have to wait for it to go up to TX gradebook. And that's truly what it is. It's just like in Google Classroom. They can see it right there. But they see a breakdown of the categories, not just a list of grades. So they can see all of the major grades, all the minor grades. And the one thing that I absolutely loved about it, let me take you and show you. One thing that really, really got me on this. Let me see if I can just choose one that won't mind. This one won't mind. Okay, so I clicked on the little 3 bars. Okay, and it brought me up to his stuff. Now, if it was still linked, maybe something. Okay, it's not linked right now, but let's say his ed puzzles were, and this one's missing right here. So this link takes him straight back to that assignment that wasn't done. Okay, and I'm not going to let that open up or anything like that. But you see these links right here? These links are things that go with these assignments over here. So if he didn't do that one, we can click right here. It'll take us right to that. There's no more. The one thing that was frustrating in Google Classroom is if they missed something, they had to remember what it was. They had to look at the grades, see what they were missing, remember what it was, go find it in their classroom, do it, and then let me know. Okay, this links it all together. It links it here. It links it in the grade book. It links it everywhere. So that's one thing that I loved about this. Okay, so, and the parents loved it because they honestly could see, Johnny said that he did all of his assignments and I'm just not putting them in. And then mom goes and looks and says, then what does it say missing? And so it allowed the parents to help me as a teacher with 180 kids with their one student. And they liked that a lot. Okay, number 6, posting updates. Okay, is similar to posting your notices in the stream for Google Classroom. In the left-hand column, again, that's going to be our favorite column right there, guys. Just under the materials is updates. Okay, this will allow you to post anything you might have posted in Google Classroom. There's a little blip. Let me move this over here if it'll go. Are you gonna go? Come on, go over here. Here we go. All right, so there's a little blip. So let's go out and look at this. Okay, so okay, so updates right here. Okay, so right here I can type test next Wednesday, whatever date it's going to be. So that would be 7, we'll call it 7/22/21. Don't forget to study. Okay. So this would be an announcement. Okay. I can click on this little blip right here, and I can click this little bell. Okay. And notice it says marks updates as announcements. So that's where you do your announcements and you post. And what that's going to do for students, which I can't show you the student version because I didn't think to put a student in here. This right here is going to be at the top of their page when they log in. So they have to, if they're reading, okay, if they're reading, they will see that, okay? And then let's say I want to use this for my agenda. Okay, today, 7/16/21. It's been a while. Sorry. Our objective for today is students will learn how to do things inside Schoology. Our language objective, students will read and discuss how to do things in Schoology for their own class. Our agenda for today, log in to Schoology. Attach Google Drive, and so on. Okay, so I post it and it replaces the test one, but the test one has not gone away. It's still there, just pushed down. Okay, but here's the objective for the day to help with your t-test. Okay, it doesn't remove it when you put a new one up. The only way to remove it is to remove here or scroll down here, click the sprocket, and delete it. Okay? All right, so let's go back to tips and tricks. Okay, so one thing that you didn't see is when you get students in the classroom, a second box will pop up there for parents to be able to see the notification. Okay, so something that I liked. Materials. Tip 7. In the left-hand column is your first materials. The first tab is your materials right here. This is where most of your work will be done. This area will probably undergo changes until you and your students find the right fit for you. My classes, we went through 4 or 5 reorganizations until we found our fit, and it worked best for everybody. So my kids preferred unit folders. So I'll show you the class period from last year. Okay, so this is still a hot mess express from last year because, when I said adios and it didn't come back. But if you'll scroll down here, you'll see that I had Unit 8, Unit 9, Unit 10, Unit 11. I did have a folder for materials where I could put links for things that they might need, like the Google Notepad for Telpus and videos of old notes from first semester and whatnot. Okay, so all of this up here is like a breadcrumb trail. I can go right back to it. Okay, and the nice thing is when you come here, it starts at materials. One thing I forgot to add to my tips and tricks. If you are going to have a Google Meets link, I highly suggest that you go to Add Materials and you do a link. Okay, call it Google Meets. Do a link. Okay, call it Google Meets. Put your link right here and then add it. Okay, and leave it at the very top of your materials page because it's easy for them to find. Otherwise, they could get buried down here and it could be a mess. Okay, but here is my folders. Now, okay, that's what we landed on. At first, I started trying to organize it like I had my Google Classroom, where I had check-ins in one, I had check-ins in a folder, notes in a folder, tests in a folder, corrections in a folder. I had a bunch of folders over there, but the kids just didn't like it. They really didn't like it. So we ended up with a unit where, and this is just the way it worked for my kids, you're going to have to talk to your teammates, see how y'all want to do it. If you're going to do it as a team where everybody is the same across, the grade level or whatever. So a unit 1 or unit 11 here, we started with vocabulary, and then this is an ed puzzle, and this is the assignment. And we had 2 assignments for that one ed puzzle. Then we had an ed puzzle and an assignment, an ed puzzle and an assignment. Now, notice that those were not checked because those were hangovers from the previous grading cycle. But then we have these check marks here. Okay, we're going to talk about them in just a second. But this is what my kids ended up liking. And they actually ended up liking it where we put the tests, which I gave multiple versions of the test, assigned to specific students. That's what this little number right here is. But this is the tests that went with the material above. So everything for the unit was in one place. So if they needed something from Unit 9, they knew to go to Unit 9 folder and they could find it from there. Okay, but that's what my kids ended up liking the best because it was just the most organized for them. Okay, so the little check marks. Okay, so as you make an assignment, you can click on the options and set student completion rules. This was a godsend, okay? This allows students to complete their work in order, or makes them complete it in order, but allows them to work at their own pace. So you know that you've got some kids that are going to struggle with some things more than others. Well, here's the thing with it, okay? So we're going to go back over here to, let me just go here. Okay, so I'm going to go to materials, okay? And I would add an assignment and let it be whatever. Okay, so I'm going to hop over here because I've got assignments. So what I would do is, like when I added assignment 91, I would click on options and click on student completion. Okay, now this is going to take it a hot second to load because this is full because everything in the unit gets a completion rule. Even the tests get a completion rule because I want them to complete all the work for that test before they attempt that test, because we all know that if they try to do a test and they haven't done the work for it, they're not going to know what they're doing. Okay, there we go. All right, so starting with assignment 91, we started the completion rules for this unit, okay, for this 6 weeks. Okay, so I literally grabbed in the drop down, I'll change one. Okay, I'll change it to the vocabulary, just so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so it's a vocabulary assignment, And then you click over here and you say they have to view it, post a comment or reply, make a submission, score at least. Last year I was doing make a submission. I am seriously thinking about score at least a certain score this year. Otherwise, they're going to have to come to me and let's see what they're doing wrong. But make a submission or score at least. That's what I did in my math class. For English, social studies, science, if you want them to have a discussion, there you go. Post a comment. It's like a blackboard, okay, where they can have a dialogue, okay? But that's what you do there. And you do it for all of your assignments, all the way down, okay? And the next assignment, I would click Add Requirement, throw it in there, and go with it, okay? But what that does is students must do this assignment before this one will open up. Then they have to do this assignment before this one will open up. So they cannot progress until they have made progress. Okay? And it gets frustrating for them because they're going, why can't I? You haven't done the work beforehand. You got to go back and do it. But I don't understand. Then come sit here with me and let's work through this. Okay? So this right here keeps them going, especially for math. It's so sequential. You've got to know X before you know Y, before you know Z. And I know I just use letters, but you need to add before you can subtract, before you can multiply. Okay. So this makes sure that they're doing those things in order. Okay. And they eventually got to where they like it. Now, one thing that you can see there is you can check student progress. Okay, so when they get this green check mark here, that means they've finished the folder and they're ready for the next unit. Okay, so I always try to have a unit ahead, ready to go. Okay, and you don't have to have the whole thing, just have something for them to continue to work on, like a choice board or something. Okay, this student got 97% complete before the end of the semester because this was our last unit. Okay, and then I had a student who had some serious difficulties, and so there's another one that's 97. So they almost got done. This one got 73% done. So you can see at a quick glance where they are. And without the check mark, you see it gives you the percentage of the unit that they've completed. Like I said, you don't have to have the whole unit at once. You can add stuff as you go through it and build your units as you go. Okay. Okay, so let's come back here. We talked about the button. We talked about that, the check marks, and checking progress. Okay, so number 9. You got Google, don't redo. I said that once before at the very, very beginning. Schoology integrates with Google. Okay, so whatever Google items you did last year to enter the digital world of teaching, they still work. Don't get rid of them. Tweak them if you like, but don't reinvent the wheel. Okay, the only thing I would say that you need to reinvent the wheel is if you want to use the assessment feature of Schoology. Okay, but you don't have to. You can do this in multiple ways. Okay. All right, so extra helps. This is a page of links, okay? And these links are groups. These first 2 up here, they are for inside Schoology. You will see, let me come out. Inside Schoology. When you as a teacher first log on, you will see this right here, okay? You can see your groups. So Schoology educators, that's one of the ones that I gave you. These are Schoology educators from all over the place. And they will help you because they've helped me and I've helped others. Okay, so when you're having an issue, you can pop on here. Of course, you don't have to go outside the district first, but if you're at home at night and you know that nobody's going to answer your question, or, maybe it's 2:00 in the morning and you're working on something, please don't do that. But you can go here and you can search and see. I mean, there's discussions and stuff. You can search on here and see if you can find your answer. I found a lot of my answers here. Okay. All right. So back over here. The second one, that was the one that we just looked at. There is one here that's new to Schoology. I just found that one. So I'm going to be joining it just to see if they have any tips and tricks that I might want. The others are Facebook groups. Okay. I belong to the one for number 3, Teaching with Schoology. They are very, very good. And I also belong to number 7, the Schoology math teachers, because those fit me. Okay. But search Schoology on Facebook, and there's a ton of different groups. Okay. These are the ones that I went through and found real quickly yesterday. So I wanted to put them in here, and I will send this info out to you so that you have those links. Okay. I know this was fast and furious. There's so much more that I want to share, but time, right? I don't want to overwhelm you in time. So here is how you can get a hold of me. If you have questions, I will get back to you as quickly as I can. I'm Michelle Press, Permian High School geometry teacher. There is my work phone number. The quickest and easiest way to get a response from me is to use the ECISD.school email, because I have too many emails in the Ector County. Okay. And also don't forget, you can contact your digital learning specialist for your campus or any of the Schoology teachers. I'm sure that they will be happy to help you out. And I hope and pray that this year is full of goodness for you, and that Schoology is not a difficult learning process for you. It really does work a lot like Google Classroom. So if you will get in there and just give it a chance, I bet you're going to like it. Okay. Y'all have a great day, and I will see you soon.